Thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to be making some almond macaroon cookies. The recipe is provided by Melissa from mamagourmand.com. You will need one entire box of almond paste, 2 eggs, some salt, some vanilla, some almond flour, and some sugar. Gather 2 different bowls for the eggs. One's going to be for mixing the eggs, and the other just to separate to make sure that we don't get any yolk into our egg white. You can save your egg yolks for another use if you'd like. Now let's beat up these 2 egg whites until they are very frothy. The egg whites should be really creamy and frothy. Now let's open up our box of almond paste. I'm going to cut it up into smaller pieces before I break it. I just find this a little easier. As you break up the almond paste, the smell is just going to be incredible, and you may not be able to resist but having a piece or 2. I don't blame you. Once we have our almond paste into smaller chunks, I'm going to reach in there and break it up even finer because it's going to make it a lot easier to mix. Now I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup of white sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, as well as 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Let's stir that together and add our frothy egg whites to it all at once and mix that up until it is really smooth. Now this may be a little difficult at first because those almond paste chunks can be a little difficult to work with. So I like to take a really big fork and smooth it out. It just makes the process a lot smoother, but bump. Keep on beating until the batter is very smooth. You don't want any chunks of almond paste to remain. Alright, so I'm taking my batter and I'm dividing it in half, and I'm doing this very precisely by weighing the batter and then dividing that into half. The reason why I wanted to make a variation out of this recipe is because it was so highly reviewed, and I have been looking for years for the perfect coconut macaroon cookie. Because I divided the dough in half, I'm going to have to make my variation in half. I left the recipe exactly as is, except I added in coconut and took out a little bit of the flour because the coconut acts as a little bit of a binder. I'm checking the texture of the original recipe with my variation to ensure that it's as close as possible to this original recipe. Now you're going to wrap up your dough and put it in the refrigerator and let it chill for 1 to 2 hours. Or if you're in a little bit of a hurry, you can freeze the dough for about 30 minutes. After the dough has chilled, line a cookie sheet with parchment paper and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Shape your dough into 1-inch balls and place 2 inches apart on the prepared cookie sheet. I have to be honest, I did eat some of the dough for both variations, and it is just so incredibly good.
This dough smells so amazing.
Now we're going to lightly press the top of each dough ball, and at this point you can top it with a sliced almond or chocolate chip, or just leave it as is and dust it with a little powdered sugar. Now we're going to bake the cookies for 16 to 18 minutes or until they're lightly golden around the edges and slightly firm. Let the cookies cool on the pan for 10 minutes before transferring them to a wire rack. I cut each cookie variation in half, and the textures were very similar, although I must be honest, the original almond cookie recipe was just perfect all around.
Thank you so much for watching, and please check out my other recipe videos.